welcome to the SciFi Diner Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Herzog.
And good evening, I am Miles P. McLaughlin.
I'm Chrissy Raffensperger.
And I'm Dave Sellers.
And tonight we have a fantastic show for you, talking about what's going on in our sci-fi world, talking a little bit about the latest Disney trailer to drop, or at least one of the more recent ones that we are excited about. And we're going to be interviewing a 17-year-old author who just published her first book, and you will not want to miss it. So you stay tuned for that as we kind of take this journey together. And welcome back to the Diner, everyone. It is fantastic to be here. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too. It's nice to have Jen back finally.
Again. Well, she would have joined us in the last one, but she didn't watch Guardians of the Galaxy because she didn't do her homework.
You're muted, dear.
I was also super tired because I did 3 or 4 events all in 3 days. So I just kind of needed a nap and to snuggle with my cats.
Yep, that's all right. That is all right.
Mental health is important, people. Self-care.
Self-care. There you go. That's what Dave's doing right now. Self-care.
Yep.
What's on tap tonight, Dave?
Coors Light.
Coors Light.
Cheap. Gets the job done.
Yep.
I mean, for some people.
Those of us who have problems.
Oh my. For everything else, it's therapy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's all my profession. It's fine.
All right. So
alcohol is not a replacement for therapy.
No, I said for everything else, there's therapy. He was saying he's drinking, so I did say that. You go back and listen to the recording. If you ever listen to the episode, you would see that I actually did not diss therapy. I was supporting therapy.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right, Miles, what are we doing here?
So this evening, we are going to talk about what's going on in our sci-fi world and our reactions to the latest Ahsoka trailer. And we're going to be talking to this young lady, this published author now, Miss Kaitlyn Roth, on her new novel Reset. And that's going to be our show.
Sounds fantastic. Well, let's leap into it. Let's start with the appetizer. We're talking about what's going on in our sci-fi world. Who wants to start us off?
I guess I will. So this is not just last 2 weeks. It's more like the last 4 weeks. But Wasp Girl and Ant-Man Quantumania dropped on Disney Plus about a month ago. So I finally watched that. Watched Legion of Superheroes. It was an animated movie on Max. It used to be HBO Max, but now it's just Max. I'm enjoying Superman and Lois on the CW. That should be wrapping up soon. Started watching The Manifest. It's their final season dropped on Netflix this week. And I'm looking forward to Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is going to come out next week. And in non-sci-fi entertainment, I watched Yellowstone, the Kevin Costner show about cowboys and Indians, and just a modern day retelling of that conflict in some ways. I've also watched the prequels, 1923 with Harrison Ford, and the 1883 one. So non-sci-fi, but excellent storytelling. I haven't watched season 5 yet, Yellowstone. They only had the first 4 seasons on Peacock, and I'm debating whether I want to rent or just subscribe to a streaming service just for a month, just to catch up on season 5. I'm currently reading the Star Trek Discovery novel by Dayton Ward called Somewhere to Belong, and I just purchased a new sci-fi novel, Time Past, a time travel romance novel by L.C. Douglas.
Oh, it's good to see you getting to some romance. I mean, come on.
I need it, man. So I'll get through the books.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Very good. So did you finish Star Trek Discovery Somewhere to Belong?
No, I just started the book. I'm probably about maybe a third of the way into it.
Okay, very good. And you're enjoying it?
I am enjoying it. Dayton is a great author, and so whatever Star Trek genre he writes in, it's going to be good. I mean, Discovery is not my favorite one, but it's still Dayton Ward writing it, so I'm there.
Now, I know this is not the Quantumania show, but I was wondering, you kind of blew through that you watched it. What were your thoughts on Quantumania? You heard a lot. Like it did not do well at the theaters. I too watched it, and I'll say my thoughts here in just a little bit. Dave, I know you watched it. Chrissy, did you watch Quantumania?
I didn't.
I didn't do your homework again. Got it. That's going to be.
There's so much.
5 demerits. 5 demerits for you.
From what house? Gryffindor. That's the house now. Ravenclaw. There it is.
Yeah.
I have a lot of homework to catch up on, and the end of the school year already happened.
Yeah. So I mean, this is bad, right?
Summer school for
Classes
you.
are over, and you still have homework. It's bad.
I see lots of detention in your future.
Yeah.
You know what? I was known in school as that troublemaker.
Yes. This is not the procrastination
I'm
you're looking
shocked.
for. Yeah. So, anyways, back to you, Miles. Quantumania. Tell me about it. Like, what did you think?
It didn't set the world on fire for me. The first hour I thought really dragged a lot. Kang the Conqueror is an interesting villain, so I'll be curious to see where they go with that. And I liked the first 2 Ant-Man movies. I thought they were really good, and I enjoyed Ant-Man in the Avengers movies. But this movie just I don't know, it was just lacking. I think I said that when we did our Guardians of the Galaxy review. I just think Marvel's movies have just been lacking lately.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chrissy, since you are on the app of not doing homework right now, I was wondering if you did anything at all sci-fi in the past couple of weeks.
I have. I've been playing World of Warcraft Dragonflight.
Good.
So
Dave approves. Dave's approves. Have you been playing with Dave? That's what I want to know.
No, I keep messaging him, and somebody does not respond to me.
It's probably because you're playing at like 11 o'clock at night and he's asleep.
Probably.
Because I'm playing on the weekends at like 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm.
You're not
because
you're a normal human being.
Well, actually, what I have found is that as an insomniac, I really have to be very strict with my sleep schedule. Otherwise, it throws off my sleep schedule, and I am not sleeping for 3 weeks in a row. So, unfortunately, I can no longer do what I used to do, which was stay up all night long on a Friday or Saturday till 3 or 4 in the morning playing World of Warcraft. Sorry, I've discovered that is not actually good for me.
Welcome to getting older. Welcome to the club.
No, that was apparently always a thing. I just didn't know that was contributing to my insomnia. So, if you're an insomniac,
or you were in denial that it was contributing to your insomnia.
You know what? I probably was more that because I was a college student. I decided that I can just not. Who needs sleep? Who needs to function on sleep?
Plenty of time to sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
That is the mound that will not drop, Scott. It has not dropped yet, and I'm mad about it. Anyway. So, yeah. Just making my way through that. I'm starting to get back into Mythic Plus now. I'd gotten out of doing Mythic Plus because I had a concussion, so my visual perception was not the best. So trying to heal and not stand in fire was not working out for me the greatest. But my brain seems.
So what's Mythics Plus?
Okay, so you have dungeons that you run. This is 5-man content. And basically, if it's really. It kind of grew out of challenge modes. So challenge modes was this much harder version of dungeons. So you had your normal dungeons, then you have your heroic dungeons.
So this is still part of the World of Warcraft world.
This is still part of the World of Warcraft. And then after, so they did challenge modes in Pandaria. They also did that in Warlords of Draenor. And then they started introducing mythics in... I want to say, was it Legion? Someone's going to yell at me in the comment section that I missed it. And so it's progressive dungeons.
WoW player.
I know. So just as you're going through the dungeons, you can go up in levels, and the higher the level, the more difficult the dungeon. And then it start adding in different affixes. So you might have fortified mobs, you may have random spirits that appear, and you have to like heal them or cleanse them in order to make them disappear. Otherwise, they shout out a scream and it slows down your haste. So your spell casting is really slow. And so like the further you go, the more affixes and the harder it is. So it's kind of one of those things where like it's a constantly evolving challenge that you can keep moving up, and you get like different rewards. In challenge mode, you got special armor or weapons that you couldn't get any other way. And now it's just higher levels of armor that you can get out of it. So I really enjoyed challenge modes. Those were like the most fun I'd ever had in WoW was doing that. And that's actually how I learned Paladin and fell in love with playing Paladin, was because I saw the Paladin armor for challenge modes in Pandaria, and I was like, I have to have that. That is amazing. I must have that armor. So I boosted my Blood Elf, and I went into a challenge mode and did not know what I was doing, and it was perfectly okay. So I learned how to do Paladin and became a really good Paladin healer because of challenge modes. And I just have been playing meaning Paladin ever since. I left Priest, especially when they screwed up my Disc Priest rotation. Did not like with the changes. So now me and Holy Paladin are besties.
Nice.
So that's what I've been doing, in addition to, of course, reading my books. So I won't go down the complete list, but I have finished the published Gentleman Bastards, was reading the Schwab's Villains, finishing John. Oh, I'm gonna mispronounce. No, John Gwyn's. What's his last name? Gwyn. John Gwyn's series. So, and was making my way through Shogun again, just because I just really enjoyed listening to the audiobook and then reading it. So, yeah, that's my nerdiness for now.
Yeah, so Dave, when you play WoW, are you playing it with the same sort of, have you been playing the same sorts of modes?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. I don't get along well with other people, especially playing with ones I don't know. So I go in and grind and play the stories through and just burn time and have fun is essentially it right now.
See, he probably does this pesky thing called looking for raid, and he ends up with a bunch of pug noobs that don't know what they're doing, and they keep standing.
No,
and they keep
I'm the pug
dropping.
noob who doesn't know what he's doing.
Okay, so you're the person who keeps dropping the like poisons on top of each other, and standing in it, apparently thinking that
It's not
they're
gonna hurt
buffs for the rest. They're buffs for the rest of the raid. I can totally drop the things of fire on the raid. It's perfectly fine. The healers have it. It's not like I'm because of you. Thank you.
That crap always confuses me, so that's why I never do any of those paladins, healers, wizards, whatever the hell they are. I just stick with my normal axe or sword and just go wail the crap out of the bad guys.
Okay, so
I play warrior the whole time.
Oh, are you a warrior tank?
Yes, I think.
Warrior tanks are like my favorite thing to heal. I love warrior tanks.
That's good because I get my ass kicked a lot and need healing.
It is obvious, Dave, that you have not played with Chrissy, because you would enjoy going on raids with her.
No, we would not do that. We would totally be grinding out Mythic Plus. Okay, so what I'm hearing is I need to say screw sleep and it's Saturday.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
No, I just need to stay up a little past 8:30 at night.
What is yeah, you do. What is your level right now?
I'm in the 60s.
Okay, I'm leveling my mage through. I haven't hit, so I'm in Azure Span right now. So, like, where are you? Are you in the plains? Are you in Waking Shores?
I have no idea what the hell I am right now.
Are you in a snowy place? Are you in the plain place?
No,
are you
I am in
centaurs. Are you looking at walrus people?
No, I'm in I'm off on some island that I'm dealing with like this naval society that the sister turned her back on at the beginning, and I have no freaking clue.
Wait, are you?
I have no idea where I am. I'm just going through and picking quests that are coming up and just following through.
Are you talking about Jaina?
Huh? I have no idea. Some blonde chick turned herself into her mother, or whatever, after her dad
You're
died.
not even in the right expansion, sir.
Probably not yet. No, I started from scratch and went up through.
No, so you're not even in the 60s. You're probably in the 50s.
Maybe. No,
You're
no.
in Battle for Azeroth content. You're
That sounds about right.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm not. I left that place. I'm in Dragonforge now. I'm in the dragon with all the dragons and shit. I just got into there. That's where I'm at.
Oh,
Sorry, folks. This is getting a little distracting on a rabbit hole here. But
this has essentially become the WoW show.
yeah, yeah. We'll have to do WoWcast one of these days here. Just
We shall. Just you and me. It's fine. I just wanted to know where he was.
Yeah. I haven't logged in a little while, but I have to remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Dave, other than WoW, what else has been going on in your world?
Well, we've been going through all of the Marvel movies in timeline order with my daughter. She's really enjoying them. I think our next one up is Thor Ragnarok, I think.
Oh, good.
We're waiting till she got back she's at the shore right now with my in-laws for the week there. So when she gets back, we'll end up watching that one next. I did watch Howard the Duck.
Did you?
Yes.
So we didn't have to.
You should have. You should have. Scott and I did this on our own. We were trying to get Miles to do it, and this is exactly the reaction we get, folks. So, just misery and torture for it.
Some good quotes.
Yes, I mean it was funny, but it was just stupid funny. Like
they watched it, so we didn't have to, Miles. They took one for the team. We should be grateful.
Apparently,
I am. I really.
Thank you.
Well,
yeah, it's good stuff. Like Miles, we did start watching the final season of Manifest. Again, I see kind of where you're going, I think, but let's pick it up a little bit here.
I watched like the first, I think it was like the first 2 or 3 seasons, and like partway through, I was just like, okay, can we move this along? Like chop. Yeah. I haven't got all day. There's anime to watch. There's Marvel things to watch. I apparently have Star Wars.
There's WoW to be played.
Yeah.
There's WoW. Those world quests will not get themselves done. Thank you very much. I have rep to get for those dragon mount.
It's like the grind through Westfall in the beginning of your career in WoW, just grinding away. Kill pigs, kill this, kill that, whatever.
Kobolds can you kill?
Yes, exactly. But we're getting there.
Barons, but that's fine.
We're getting there. I also watched this past weekend the movie Nefarious came out on streaming.
Oh, and how
I saw it in theater. Nefarious? I watched it again. Greatest movie I've watched in a very, very long time.
What's
So it's stream. You can get it on Google or iTunes. I got it through Vudu, so I can watch it on my TV. It's only at rental right now. They don't have it out to purchase yet, but once it does, I'm going to end up buying the DVD just so I actually physically have it.
So you liked it that much?
Oh yeah. You guys know anything about this movie?
No.
Tell me all about it.
It's an independent flick, and Sean Patrick Flannery plays the lead role in it. And he should get a freaking Emmy because he's so good in it. Basic premise is there is this guy he's a serial killer played by Sean Patrick Flannery, and he's in prison awaiting execution. He's on death row. The show starts out with a psychologist who has to go in and prove and diagnose that he is sane, or else he can't be executed. And this therapist, this therapist throws himself off a roof and dies. So the next one comes in, and the entire movie, 90% of the movie is based in a prison common room with a dialogue between these two. and the serial killer is claiming that he's a demon, that he's possessed by a demon. And through the entire movie is this dialogue of him trying to convince his therapist that, no, I am, you are speaking to me. I'm Nefariamos is the closest name there. Nefarious is the name of this demon. And the way these two interact and the back and forth between them is amazing. And I won't give away any more of it because you gotta watch it. But it's one of those movies where if you do not walk out of this thing feeling something or thinking about this, then there's something wrong with you.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, right. It is amazing, and I would encourage anybody to go watch it. It's outstanding. So yeah, watch that again. And then I've been working on with Scott and working on getting this show recorded and put onto YouTube now per episode. So folks, if you want to not only listen to our witty banter at times, but actually see the goofy faces that Jen makes at all of us and actually watch us having fun and being part of this show, please find us on YouTube at SciFi Diner Podcast and like, subscribe, get notified, all that good stuff, and get our numbers up. And
awful LED lighted.
Yeah, there you go.
It's all good.
Bring it on.
It's all good. So, yeah, check us out there. We have more content coming to there every time.
Yeah, we're working on it. All right. Well, everyone else went in my sci-fi world. As Dave mentioned, I watched Howard the Duck. Not the worst movie I've ever watched, and
not a ringing endorsement.
No, it is. It's so let me put it. It's better than the movie that Dave wanted us to watch. About
Battle Beyond the Stars is a classic.
And New Age stuff. It was better than that movie. It was really hard to watch Leah Thompson in this, knowing her role in Back to the Future and how awesome she was. And she was, wow, an unbelievable character. Like, being that you couldn't really believe her. It was not unbelievable, like amazing, just it was if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, man. That was the stellar quote from the movie, and I take that to heart. So definitely not one of who was it? Tim Robbins wasn't one of Tim Robbins' best movies. And,
oh, he was magnificent. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But anyways, so I did watch that. I watched Quantumania as well, and I went in with very low expectations, and because of the hype or lack thereof in the theater, and I was pleasantly surprised.
That happens with low expectations.
Yeah, I know. So I agree
disappointed.
with Miles that the early part does drag a little bit, but I didn't feel like they were just padding it either. I felt like it was probably just maybe more of a pacing thing than it was the content they were giving us. Because I felt like it all developed into the story later on, and in Kang and everything else. It was just great. I mean, the whole thing was fantastic. So definitely worth watching. Whoa, they're on my microphone. I'm not even certain that it was the worst Marvel movie I've seen. I think Eternals probably still ranks pretty low for me. And that had moments too, but it definitely was the weaker of them. And I guess Howard the Duck ranks even lower still, if you consider that. So
and there's your ringing endorsement.
Yeah.
I don't think Quantumania was the worst Marvel movie I've seen recently. I just think it just, I don't know, it just felt lacking. If I had to say the most recent Marvel movie that I really didn't care for was the last Thor movie, Love and Thunder.
Man, see, I love that movie. I mean, there's a reason why you're reading. There's a reason why you're reading romance time travel novels, because you just don't like love.
That's my problem.
That's your problem.
Chris, you probably have a field day with me.
Yeah, no. But Love and Thunder, I like. So It was Thor: Love and Thunder was better than Dark World in my
Yeah.
opinion. Dave says maybe.
I'm not hearing. So I'm hearing from these two below, and they're just not believing you, Scott.
They aren't. Well, Dave's kind of on board.
I am. I'm kind of on board. I'm
The
kind of
only
on
reason
board.
he
I'm
would
not
say
hearing that. I'm here.
the only reason you would put Dark World above this one is because it plays into the myth arc, into the whole Thanos storyline, which you don't get in Love and Thunder. But the young girl is fantastic, and it was just great. I would love to see it. And Natalie Portman kicked ass in that movie.
She did.
I mean,
Yeah.
name a movie that she doesn't rock it.
Thor. What was the second one again? I can't remember the name.
Dark World.
Dark World. Like there's one she did not, and in Thor 1 she did not, but this movie she did.
Was she in the second one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, she was.
See, that it was that forgettable.
Yeah.
That's why this movie was much better.
That is true. That's
Anyways, so I've also been I'm watching Picard slowly, season 3 with my son. We just finished episode 3. So that's the one that I had so many problems with Riker kicking Picard off the bridge and I was complaining about. So that's the one that I'm at right now. So I've been reading the novelizations, the Jim Butcher novels, the Dresden Files. I'm up to book 4 and really enjoying them.
Like those.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying. I was surprised. I thought first person narrator, kind of this noir fantasy, little bit quasi X-Files, but fantasy. But I've enjoyed the character. I think the character of Harry Dresden is fascinating.
It's
and
a little
funny.
parody though, too, right?
It is absolutely. And I think it's one of the things that I like.
That's the thing that makes it work. Like if it wasn't slightly like parodying the whole noir genre, I don't think that I would enjoy them nearly as much. But
Right.
because like it's these little like zingers that are just like in there, you're like,
and the book's littered with them. So I'm up to book 4, and because of it, I made the mistake. I said, well, let me watch the Dresden Files TV series. So it was clearly on the heels of people who want to capitalize on the strength of the X-Files, because it reads like an X-Files show. It's okay. It's also dated now because I'm watching it 20 years after it came out. But yes, you have words, Jen. Go ahead.
I mean, you should just know, as a book reader, not to watch whatever they produce when it's based on a book.
It's usually better.
So I kind of wanted to,
I
only because
want you
there was
down.
a TV show on it, and I remember being mildly interested, but never really pursuing the show when it came out. So I said, oh, I'll try it. I watched 3 episodes, so I gave it a 3-episode shot. I don't know if I'm going to continue it, but I am loving the book series. So I'm really enjoying the books and the stories they're telling, and yeah, so that's probably what's been going on in my sci-fi world. The other one that you talked non-sci-fi, Miles, I am watching, I began watching and then stopped because I wanted to watch it with my wife and Kiefer, the movie Air, that's on Amazon. And it's an Amazon original movie, and it's about the story of how Air Jordan got made. And it's with Affleck, Matt Damon, and it is a trip down 80s memory lane.
Sweet. Literally,
there's all sorts of geek cultural references in it. Even if you watch only the first 15 minutes, you're going to be, it will have you a very happy person. It's really good.
Nice.
So I didn't finish the movie. But I did. I started it and said, you know what? I'm not going to watch it anymore because I know Chris will watch it. So yeah. So that's Air.
Cool.
Yeah. That's our sci-fi world. Yeah.
I have a question for Chrissy. Did you watch
The answer.
Picard season 3 yet?
No, that is on my docket. There's been a lot of stuff going on personally in my life
We need to buy Chrissy a dunce hat so that when she doesn't do her homework, she can sit on screen in the corner.
I think I can add one in post.
Oh yeah.
Then you can blur this out.
Don't worry. I don't know if people have seen it. I have this. I can put reactions into the chats, and I've been dropping them every so often in the corner of the screen.
I don't need emojis. I can do it myself.
You do it in the flesh. All right, so Miles, we had a trailer drop recently.
Because I am old at heart.
Oh wow, Miles, we had a trailer drop recently, and this is. Tell us a little bit about this trailer, and then let's go ahead and watch it.
So this is for the upcoming Star Wars Ahsoka trailer, which will be on Disney Plus in August, I believe.
That's correct.
That's right.
So little more footage, maybe a little more Thrawn in there.
Yes.
But it's got me stoked to see it, though.
Yes.
Now, the trailer I was playing earlier, I think that was the original trailer.
Yeah, it did look familiar, so you need to find the right one.
So what is the what's the name of the updated trailer? Is there a name for it?
Don't look at me. I didn't do my homework.
Obviously not.
That's true.
I was busy doing Mythic Plus.
There's a lot of Ahsokas.
Those primalists don't kill themselves.
The one that I dropped was from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, I tell you what. Yeah. See, and how long was that one?
This one's a minute and 22 seconds.
We'll see. All the ones that are popping up for me are in minute 51, which is even. So, tell you what we'll do is we'll just did we all watch it, or Chrissy, do you need to watch it?
I probably need to watch it. Like, where's the?
I'll throw the link into the show notes.
It's fine.
So you can click it and then watch it. So we're gonna go ahead and watch this trailer, and Dave, you're gonna have to add this one in post.
Okay.
All right, so let's watch it, and then we'll come back.
I tried to survive for many years because of the rebels. Now is the time to stand up.
Started hearing whispers about Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire.
The Sith control everything. I have to stop them.
It's been a while. Things have changed.
Ezra is in Thrawn's hands on the far side of the galaxy. We have to save him, Hera.
We have to prepare for the worst.
To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, arts.
Ahsoka.
So let's talk a little bit about this trailer. What are some things that stuck out to you that excite you?
Anakin's voice at the end.
Yep, Anakin's voice at the end.
If you watched Rebels, you will probably really like this show.
Uh-huh.
That was definitely something that my brother wrote me into watching, because I was like, I'm not watching some flippin' Star Wars cartoon, Josh. I'm not doing it. He's like, no, you have to watch this. You have to watch it. I'm like,
watch this one.
Fine, Josh. I will watch this just for you. And it actually turned out to be pretty okay.
It's awesome.
And now you're glad you did.
I mean, okay.
Yes.
Like a little
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, you will.
Yeah.
Ezra, you're seeing coming back.
No, now the line Ezra is in France. Is that what it says?
Thrawn has Ezra on the far side of the galaxy.
Yeah, but there's a line in there. It says that Ahsoka says Ezra is in
Thrawn's hands.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, Thrawn's hands.
The
Yeah.
subtitle says he's in France.
Yeah, they screw the subtitles up.
So,
Sticking AI.
Listen, there's some crossover between our world and Star Wars world. It's fine. Like he was just visiting the Eiffel Tower. He's seen, Mickey Mouse over in Disneyland. Right. It's fine.
Got it. No. So I thought that was good. I love I like the Sith crystal you see there kind of floating. I love the opening logo in red. It's telling that this is going to be Sith centric, at least to some degree. So really appreciated that. And I love Chopper. I love you seeing all the things from Rebels kind of make their way into there. I love the fact we're visiting the books that get burned in The Last Jedi. You see them sitting there, right?
The sacred Jedi texts.
Books that get destroyed.
Yes.
The sacred Jedi text. So I thought that was interesting. In a way, legitimizing, whether we like it or not, the Last Jedi. I have a feeling.
We don't talk about that.
Well, so I have a feeling, and maybe I could be wrong, and I'm willing to eat my humble pie if I am wrong, but I am kind of interested to see if, depending on how they do it, they may end up making that movie seem more legitimate than it had here. Like I think back when you go back to the prequels, everyone dogged them when they came out, but subsequent stuff that has come out since, and especially like when you had like Andor and Rogue One, there was a legitimacy that some of these movies gave to some of those movies after the fact, that you look back and say, okay, these are not perfect movies, but I don't hate them maybe quite as bad. And so I'm curious. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but it seems like some of the stuff that they're writing in is trying to give that movie a little bit more of a solid foundation. Still not saying it's going to be the best movie ever, but
no, they're trying. They're trying to keep a consistent line of canon, almost like wrapping up loose ends, working things into it. Like they're trying to do for the. I think you're right. They're trying to do for the sequels what Clone Wars did for the prequels.
Yes.
And actually give it some substance, which I've got no problem with that. If you can make it better, and that gross product at the end is positive, I'm all for it. But there's still a lot to overcome.
Yeah, not saying there's not. There was stuff that's in it. And you saw those stones that are arched up in an angle that we saw in The Mandalorian. So it's clearly a crossover. We're meant to be thinking of this as a world that ties into everything else we've already seen.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of threads need to come together.
Yeah. But definitely having Anakin's voice in there gives us the idea that we are going to be seeing Anakin Skywalker somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, him and Thrawn were buddies, right?
They were. In the novels, in the books. Yeah. They knew each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm stoked. I cannot wait till August. Especially after seeing that trailer the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Who is? We don't know anything about the villain, the white-haired, bearded guy.
Not that I know of.
Yeah. The ones wielding the orange lightsabers.
Yeah. So they aren't really Sith, right?
Are they Inquisitors?
I don't know, but they aren't they don't have the Sith red, right?
Right. They do look a lot more orange. I was wondering if that was just the color on my monitor, or if that was actually what everybody saw.
They're definitely orange lightsabers. So are they like?
Because the Inquisitors had red, Sith? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
maybe they are. Maybe they're not connected to anything we've seen before.
That would be interesting.
It would be.
Yeah.
What point does an orange and yellow lightsaber differentiate?
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like the stuff gave it more legitimacy. Like, I tried, but I'm also kind of still of the opinion that if that is your core thing, like a movie, I shouldn't have to go outside and have like a bunch of homework to do in order to enjoy
you
it.
and homework anyway. But, you know,
I felt the same
agree.
way about my World of Warcraft story when Sylvanas burned the tree. I should not have to go read a novel in order to appreciate what happened. You should have been able to show that to me in the source material.
I'm not arguing in any ways that the movie shouldn't have stood up. I think there was some poor writing and structuring of that movie that made it difficult. However, and I'm also basing it on literally less than 10 seconds of footage in a trailer.
Correct.
Correct. I'm totally willing to be totally wrong about this, but I wonder if they're not, and maybe they'll be. Maybe we will be surprised. Maybe.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope that they try to do something to explain whatever the hell that was with Luke Skywalker. That probably is the thing that pissed me off the most about those movies, but I'm sure I've already said my piece about that like 100 times. So
Mark Hamill wasn't too happy with it either. So.
And he should flippin' know. I mean, think about it. You have the guy who went and saved Darth Vader, who saw that there was still good in him, and his nephew like dabbles in it as, you know, teenagers do stupid crap, you know, and he's like, I'm gonna chop his head off. Like, what? Where did that
how
come
do we go
from
here to here, right?
It makes zero sense and had zero respect for the original trilogy. It's just what I'm gonna say.
Maybe
Luke
Luke
hit his
Skywalker's
head.
bipolar.
No, he would have had manifestations of bipolar sooner than that. That is not what it. Like, that's not usually what we see the course of bipolar. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, and suddenly we're on a rabbit trail.
Don't
fun.
ADHD the therapist.
Yeah, I thought that's fun. So it is. But all right, well, we're about ready to hop into our interview with Kaitlyn. So we're gonna take a short break here, and then we're gonna relog into Zoom. Are you guys okay with that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm gonna let my dog out before the storms.
That's fine. You do that. All right, I'm gonna hang up and join in Zoom.
Talk to you soon.
Welcome back to the SciFi Diner Podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us, Kaitlyn Roth, who has just published one of her first novels that she actually released to the world to read, Reset. And we're going to be talking with her. And what's amazing about this young lady is that she just graduated high school. So she did this a part of high school and growing beyond it. And so we're just so excited that as a young author taking steps at such a young age, it's just neat to see this budding author kind of breaking into the science fiction and quasi-urban fantasy realm, maybe a little bit. And so, Kaitlyn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We're obviously going to get into the book in just a little bit, but Miles, I know that you have a question that you're just to get a little bit of context and background for Kaitlyn.
Sure. So we definitely want to talk about Reset and how readers can get a copy. But I'm interested in finding out more about you and your sci-fi journey. What was some of your earliest forays into sci-fi, and what are you enjoying now?
Well, my earliest recollection of science fiction books was honestly in middle school when I first read Ray Bradbury, and we had to read Fahrenheit 451 for school. And I didn't like it very much because it was for school.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, I didn't like how they forced us to read books for school, but I read it again and I realized that I actually did like it. I just didn't like the school aspect of it. And so I read more Bradbury books after that, like The Illustrated Man, The Martian Chronicles, all of those good classic Bradbury books. And I also read some Orwell books in middle school. like 1984, which is one of my
Wow,
favorites.
that is a
Yes.
heady book to be reading in middle school. It's not an
Seventh
easy.
grade.
It's not. Yeah, you were a glutton for punishment, Kaitlyn, because that's not an easy. I read it as an adult, and it's not easy to get through. So it's
Yeah.
relevant. It's totally relevant to society, but anyways, go on, Kaitlyn.
No, I loved it. I loved 1984. My brother actually told me to read it, and so I did.
Oh, I get
So
it. So
those-
your brother says you can read it, you'll do it. But if a teacher asks you, no way, man, I am out.
You know,
Yeah.
some of us just don't like being assigned homework.
Right?
Oh, but at least she does it.
You never do your homework, Chrissy.
I did my homework in school and in college and in grad school.
All right.
We were talking about rabbit trails, right?
Right. We are.
Rabbit trail. Never.
Go ahead, Kaitlyn.
Yeah, so those were my kind of introductions to science fiction. And then I'm currently reading Illuminae, which is a science fiction book by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, I believe. And that's a great book that I'm currently reading.
Good. And are you so you got into science fiction kind of in middle school. Did that translate into any of your viewing habits? Like if you watch TV or you watched movies?
Interestingly, I am kind of I'll probably get into this later as we talk more about my book, but I have enjoyed watching movies and TV shows about time, which is a big aspect of my book that I wrote. And I'm currently watching for the third time Timeless.
Oh,
So
fantastic series.
Yes.
I'm delighted.
So yeah.
Miles is a huge time travel buff, so don't get him started. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no.
You just opened up the can of worms, Kaitlyn.
I enjoy it a lot, but I will stay silent.
You will stay.
About Kaitlyn.
Unlike the rest of us, Miles sticks right to the script. He's very without Miles, we're lost. It
is true. It is true.
Very, very true.
Yeah. So, obviously publishing your first book in high school is an ambitious thing to be doing, I think, at any time. Like I remember when I did NaNoWriMo a few years back, just doing it over the course of 3 months felt like a weighty and monumental project. So I know how much work goes into writing a novel. What kind of set you on the course to writing the novel, to actually bringing this concept, I guess, into fruition?
Well, to start, I knew it was ambitious to do, but I've always liked writing, and I've written things very quickly, I find. I've written novels very quickly, and so I can write quickly. I can get my thoughts down very quickly. I think the hardest and longest part is probably the editing. And I love science fiction, and I feel like science fiction is one of the most difficult genres to tackle because it's so complicated, and depending on the type of science fiction, it can be so complex. But maybe I am just a glutton for punishment, and I wanted to create a science fiction-esque novel with an original idea that is relatively about time, but isn't one of those time travel or time loop books or movies that have been done so many times before. And I knew that if I failed, which was likely that I would fail, then I could just use it as a learning experience to become a better writer, which is what I just want to be. I want everything to make me become a better writer. That's why I do anything in this world. So that's why I wanted to create such a complex, complicated book to write.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, obviously, science fiction. This book really probably arguably is a little bit more urban fantasy than it is science fiction. I realize the two are very related, but we aren't talking about a lot of science happening here. We're talking about like this demonic creature that's kind of the arching, don't want to spoil too much, but there's this arching creature that kind of guides everything in the book that you find out toward the end. Stuck in, you say it's not a time loop. You're right in a sense, but in another sense, her life is looping, right? In a sense that just she can't get out of existing and living and so on. Tell us a little bit how the concept or the idea for this book came about. Like, what were the influences for you putting this book together?
Well, like I said before, I love time travel and time loop concepts. I love how I love them in general, and it's very complicated to put together, I suppose. But really what inspired this was creating something that is a time loop concept, but isn't in the same way, if that makes sense. Because time loops have been created and they're in TV shows that aren't even about time. The creators want to bring a time concept into it for an episode. And so many time loops before, I've read so many books about time loops. And so I wanted to create something different, something unique, something that hasn't been done before. And so in my book, the character is looping, but isn't looping a day the way that most people consider time loop. Rather, she's basically killed in some way in her life, and she is reborn in another body, another person. And so I just wanted to create something that I don't think has been done before. I might be wrong, but I've never heard of it, I guess. And it's also vaguely inspired by Buddhism. Very vaguely, the concept of rebirth, of life coming in again and again and again, resetting, hence the title, Reset.
Yeah. Any questions from you guys here?
Well, I was curious to know what made you pick the specific time period that you did. You chose to start with the suffragettes and then go through all the way through like World War II and through the 60s and then like 90s and focus on various current events that were going on. And you kind of could have picked a focus of, anything that was going on in the 20s, but you specifically picked a suffragette. And then in the 60s, you specifically picked an African American man and what his experience may have been like at that time as a young man.
Yeah. So originally, I didn't know much of what I would do yet in this book. I knew the vague concept, and coming into writing the rest of the novel, I had already written about 30 pages of it as a type of preview. But I originally had started, I believe, in the 30s rather than the 20s, or I believe the first character is killed off in 1919. I originally started in the 30s, but I still wanted that suffragette type of feel in that first life because I do consider myself a feminist, and so I kind of wanted to put that into the character. And so I shifted that timeline back a couple years so that she could historically have been a suffragette fighting for women's suffrage. And then I added in that middle life that you were talking about of the African American man, so that I could add some different people and different experiences in this book, so that we can go through not just as a relatively privileged white person throughout these lives, but rather as an African American man who has to go through the civil rights movement and the 50s with heavy segregation in Georgia. And so I wanted that in there as well to provide more of a grounding experience for this book, because these things, I don't think these types of things should be ignored if you go into a book with the amount of history that this book should present, wherein it starts in the 1900s and it goes all the way through to the 90s. And I think that you can't go through that without talking about the civil rights movement, because that's such a big part of history. And the 90s doesn't have that much history to it because it recently happened. So it's not like the 1900s, early 1900s. It's the 1990s. So many people have lived throughout the 90s. So there aren't many historical movements at that time. And so I could kind of play with technology a little bit, because that's kind of just blossoming. And so I could have the character use microfiche, which was a thing during that time and much time before it. But I could also have her look at the computer and say, that is a computer that people are currently using, and it's readily available for people to use because it's the 90s. So that kind of followed the technological advancement, which fascinates me as well. So
I think one of the biggest challenges, so I worked with Kaitlyn a little bit in developing this book, and one of the biggest challenges in the rewriting process was making sure that historically stuff was happening the way when it was supposed to be happening, and just making sure all our I's were dotted and our proverbial T's were crossed in it, and that we were kind of working and making sure that historically stuff was happening and what was being said was historically accurate. And it was like it was almost like the rewriting process is almost as challenging, I think, as the actual writing. And I could be wrong about it. I'm speaking for you, Kaitlyn, a little bit, but I know that we put a lot of time into the rewrite. But
yeah, I was wondering about how challenging that would have been for you to like figure out, what even would have been realistic dialogue, because you are 17, so it's rather they're ambitious, and even people who are writing historical novels, sometimes have modern slang, and I'm reading it going, oh no, that's not what they would have said, sort of things, or that's not quite right. So I was wondering how challenging that was for you, because I did notice some lesser known facts coming through the novel.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. It was very difficult for me because I am not a huge fan of history. I like history, but I never liked history classes in school. So
that's because they're boring American history.
That is very true. I have a huge problem with all of that. But that is a story for another time.
If you go do European history, ancient Asia history, like if you want good fun history, come talk to me anytime. I will give you all of the history. If you want really truly ancient, we're not talking like pesky Egyptian pharaohs. I mean, come on, that's just boring. We've done that a million times. I'm talking about prehistory, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyways, rabbit trail, ancient civilizations, love those.
I do too. That is the best history. It's my favorite history.
See, she knows.
Well, so, but go back to talking a little bit about the language and like the mannerisms and words, because these were things that you did have to deal with. And I remember, so we had a lady that is a kind of a doctorate, has a doctorate in the English and linguistics, look over it, and she was kind of instrumental in like pulling out, wait, you don't use the F-bomb quite yet, those sorts of things. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit? Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So that was a little bit heartbreaking, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but to see my writing torn apart like that, because it really was torn apart in the best ways possible. It was very good.
You took it well. You took it well.
Yes.
Maybe you cried in a ball at home, but you took it well when we were talking to you.
Yes. Yeah. Because it was so torn apart by Dr. Lindstrom, because a lot of what I was using was, I guess, slang now, or I would use it or read it in a book currently. And so I had to, or she had to, look back and see if those words would be accurate during that time period. And a lot of the times they weren't. So I had to delete them or change them, replace them with something else. And that's why the editing and re-editing process was so long and grueling, because I changed so much of it, and I added so much and replaced so many words to make them more realistic to the time period. But it was a little bit sad to see my work so crossed out and written.
So did you become familiar with etymology.com, where it gives you all the history of the words and like the frequency of when the words would have been used and when it like sprung up out of the ether into like common language and language drift over time?
Yeah.
I like they did that though, because
that's one of those weird things I've studied. Oh, go ahead, Miles.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I like that you had somebody, a language specialist, kind of, suggest where to take some of the dialogue in the book. It'll feel more authentic. I mean, I'm watching. This has nothing to do with sci-fi, but I'm watching Yellowstone's the sequels. They're not even bothering to try to make the language authentic. I'm hearing, you said F-bombs. I'm hearing lots of F-bombs on that show. And I'm just like, I'm not sure the F-bomb was in vogue in 1883, but they're talking like that way we talk now. So I'm glad that, your book will have, I'm looking forward to reading your book, by the way, and seeing, the historical authenticity.
And you chose to end it kind of not, well, I mean, obviously when she's older, but you chose to end it in, what was it, 2009, I think it was, when the one kind of like started moving forward. Am I remembering correctly? It was like 2006, 2009?
Yes. The last life takes place in the 2000s. And then she goes on in that kind of early 2000s era is when her story, I suppose, really takes off.
Yeah. I was wondering, I was like, she ended it, in a previous generation from her own. I would have expected you to write one more and end it with yours. Was it I'm running out of time and it's like the end of the semester, gotta finish this up, or was that like more of an intentional decision?
Well, it was more of not really running out of time, but running out of plot, I guess, because it didn't, the timelines didn't line up with my kind of era of 2020 is really when I am a teenager. And so the timelines didn't really line up with that. And so I know enough about the early 2000s to write the early 2000s without that much research. And I have a little bit of Easter eggs, I guess if you would call them that I'm a little bit proud of, where I mentioned someone's skinny jeans, for example, because that was a fashionable thing in the early 2000s. And so
Dave looked good in skinny jeans.
He would look great in them right now.
Kaitlyn, do not picture it.
No, you'll never sleep again. Never, ever. No one wants to see that. No one. My wife doesn't want to see that. No one wants to see that.
Mistakes were made. My generation apologizes.
Yes, thank goodness there were no cell phones back then. But, yeah.
I mean, there were. They just didn't take pictures.
True.
When?
2000s? Yeah, no, they definitely had cell phones in 2000s.
Yeah, they were the big car.
Yeah, I know. I got my first one like 2002, and it was a brick. A massive brick.
It was a Nokia, and it would survive the apocalypse.
You're not wrong about that either. I could play Snake.
Yeah. Hey, just so you know, in about I'm gonna have to reboot the call because Zoom gives you like 40 minutes, and it's giving me a 6-minute warning. So if I have to, I'll stop it and then recreate it and resend you a link.
Okay.
All right. So if we have to, we'll just do that then. Tell us a little bit about the cover for the book. It's kind of an interesting concept. How did that come about? Who did your cover? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. I didn't do much for the cover. I didn't even come up with the concept of it. One of my very good friends, Miranda Martin, actually came up with both the concept and the artistic, the art of it. And so she created both of those things. She came up with what the cover looks like. And we actually sat down together and she sketched many possible concepts for my cover. And I chose the sketch that I would like and that I think would look good for my book. And then she fleshed out the rest of it and made it cleaner and beautiful. Yeah. I think I'm very proud of her. She's great.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Miles, do you want to ask kind of the next question?
Sure. How can interested readers acquire a copy of Reset?
Well, the book is currently available on lulu.com as a paperback and an ebook. It is also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online store, not the actual in-person Barnes & Noble store, just as a paperback. But I am currently working to get an ebook copy into Amazon relatively soon.
So maybe by the time this episode's up, we might have it there.
Yes, I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we'll drop links to all of that in the show notes. So if you're listening to this, go to the SciFi Diner Podcast or SciFiDinerPodcast.com and look in the show notes. The links will be there for it.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link below.
Yeah, it'll be there
in the description.
In the description as well. But
what's so funny, Jen?
Nothing. Just I will not be saying that. out of principle, more than anything else. Just out of principle.
Very good.
I'll take it on myself. Don't worry.
So you finished your first novel, quite a feat. What's the future hold for Kaitlyn Roth?
Okay. I do want to continue writing, of course. But I realize that I probably won't be able to do so as a career because I would not make very much money doing that. So instead, I'm going to become a teacher. It also does not make a lot of money, but that's okay. It's more stable. But I do want to continue writing on the side. And I have a couple projects that I would like to start that I'm thinking of. but it's a little bit difficult to explain. I might write a novel as a joke for my math teacher because we have a little bit of an inside joke. I wrote a short story for him as a going away present, and I mentioned that it would be better as a novel, and so now he wants me to write him a novel, so I might do that.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Kaitlyn, anything else you want to say before we wrap up the interview here?
No.
It was great having you on. Yeah, it was great having you on. If you're interested in Kaitlyn's book, it will be available in the links, as we said earlier. And good luck as you continue your writing journey. And we're excited to see what comes down the pike in the future for you as a writer. And it was awesome having you on tonight.
Thank you. It was great being here. Thank you so much.
Yay.
I'm excited about reading your book.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Very good. We'll see you later, Kaitlyn. All right, you guys still there?
Still here.
Yep. Still
All right,
here.
good.
We got 1 minute.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. So I hope you enjoyed the interview with Kaitlyn, and you can tell she's young, a little bit nervous, but she did a great job just talking through the book a little bit.
She did.
And for a first novel, it's quite an endeavor. I would love to hear your thoughts, Trissy, later on about it a little bit, but we won't do that here. I know that we were talking more about Kaitlyn and what she was writing for it. But all right, well, I think we should take it out of the show before I run out of time. So go ahead, Miles.
All right. Till next time, good night and good luck.
We'll see ya.
Leave your tips on the table.
And go boldly.
Yes.
Into space with
Into
Dave.
space, which is where Dave's at right now.